Hi, I'm Spot, welcome back to my mind. And in these series of videos, I'm going to be transforming this mess into a home. Starting with my closet. Not gonna lie, the last video took 2 years of building, shooting, scripting, and editing. So fingers crossed this project goes well. This closet holds at least 100 items of clothing. But my floor can hold potentially an infinite number of clothing items. I've got drawers too, but folding clothing is 6 times more work than just putting an item onto a hanger and hanging it up. In other words, yeah, I just hate folding clothes. So I'm gonna need to organize my clothes and get rid of the ugly stuff, then I'm gonna need to build the new closet. So I've begun with the thing that I began at the beginning of the beginning when I began the clothing. This video gets over 20 views. If I'm being honest, I save more clothes than I should have in my closet. But what's the point of making a bigger closet if I'm just gonna have it half empty? As I pick apart my old closet, I begin to picture how and when I got each item of clothing. I begin to remember each idealized version of myself I tried to reinvent by changing the clothes I wear. Sorry, nostalgia hits different when you not only see the memories, but can smell it. I picked apart my closet and organized my clothes into piles of keep and get the fuck out. The decision of which clothes to keep and throw away was a hard one, and it was a rough internal battle to say the least. I placed these babies one side ready and waiting to be hanged in the future. But for now, I must take care of the evidence. When does believing in yourself become a delusional endeavor? If I never believed in myself, would no one ever believe in me? I'm choosing to get rid of these for various reasons. Just kidding. I'm giving it to me mate Tina's. Which I wanted to get footage of, but the closet. I got these 6-meter length steel angle iron bars. The ones I had were all too short, so they wouldn't get the job done. I had to cut the steel into 2-meter lengths, which makes it easier to get to the backyard where my workbench is. Whether you believe you can, or whether you believe you can't, either way you are right. Any amount of doubt can lead to failure. Sorry, lost in thought. I'm going to weld the 2 outer frames first, so it's easier to fit through my front door. At least that's what I would say, if I wasn't probably the worst welder that ever existed. It's either that or I don't know what I'm doing. So I got my dad to help me, since it's his welder. But the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So I spent the whole next day practicing, and when I gathered enough confidence, I took a stab at the real thing. And it's not much better. Grinders and paint makes me the welder I ain't. Only I forgot to grind the bad welds, so paint it will have to do. So 1 turned to 2, and I was left with drilling the holes and finding my nuts. Luckily, my dad had a few lying around in his workshop. Unfortunately, I needed 16 more, so with 1 more trip to the hardware store, and a lot more money wasted, I had both nuts and paint and was ready to begin the painting process. It's very important to paint right underneath a tree, so that the item you're painting gets covered in other shit. After which, I'm going to be assembling the closet. But I'm still missing the rail that the clothes hang on. Instead of doing what you love, find what you're willing to suffer for. Working as a chef, this phrase stuck with me. I never knew why. I was always too busy to question it. My justification for not purchasing the rail sooner is time makes for good experience, and future me should be a lot more smart than the eye of yesterday. And I didn't want it to rust. So with one more purchase from the hardware store, I was able to get the pole, cut it to size, oil that shit no diddy, and then I'll be able to assemble the whole thing in my house. Finally. The conclusion. One of my friends said I should show how much I've spent, so for this project, excluding labor, tools, design, and wasted time, I've spent about $1,987 in my currency, or about $116.89, which isn't bad in my humble opinion. This project took a month to make. And if you'd like to see more cool stuff, like the video and subscribe to see more in the future. Thank you for your time.